I just wanted to talk a little bit about spalting and how to get the most out of a piece that's spalted. Now, spalting usually happens when a log is on the ground, deadfall, or cut down and just left out uncovered, or even just left outside so the bugs can get at it and stuff like that. Now, these pieces here are red oak, so obviously if you got a softer wood, your spalting will probably go right through the middle and stuff like that. And so different densities and softness and hardness of woods are going to spalt at different rates. But spalting is basically the wood disease. It's like a wood disease from the bugs getting at it. And I'm no expert on spalting, but I had these since I started hobby turning. I actually got all these spalted logs from a lady's yard, and I didn't even know what spalting was. I just turned the things because it gave me something to work with. But I've learned a lot about it since, and I just wanted to, I mean, I ain't going to tell you guys the ins and outs of spalting, but how to get the best characteristic out of like a bowl when you're working with a piece of spalted wood. Now, in my opinion, you look at the end grain of the log and you can see the difference in the color tone there. Hopefully the camera's picking it up. There's a very black on the outside, and as you go in, basically it looks like a piece of fresh red oak. But the way I turn this particular bowl and a few other bowls, I was just trying to conserve as much size out of this, out of these pieces of wood as I could at the time. But if you turn, say you got a larger log and you're turning out of the heart of the piece, or where the spalting is not showing through the end grain, you're going to end up with a lot less spalting on this particular piece of wood anyway. I got some spalted birch here, which the figure runs completely through the piece. That's a different situation. But if you got a log that's just been laying on the ground, you want to actually really pay attention to that end grain. Because I have a few spindle out of the same batch of logs. Now this is just a spindle blank I make a tool handle or whatever out of. But there's not much spalting in this particular piece, because I probably turned that example out of more or less a quarter sawn piece in that area. So I got a little bit of spalting from the outside, and you probably can't even see it on camera. There's a little bit on that. But this piece is another same log, or same set of logs. This one has a lot more spalting on it, because obviously when I turned this blank, I turned it more from the outside of the log. Some woods, like some softer woods, you probably can't really use the, if you're going to do a spindle out of it, you probably can't really use the sapwood. But red oak, I mean, that thing is solid throughout. It's probably just as dense and hard on the outside, or a few growth rings in, as it is towards the center. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. If you ever get any spalted wood, or pick up some logs that you realize are diseased, you really kind of want to look at, in my opinion, you want to look at the end grain of them pieces and see if the spalting has gone all the way through the piece, or it's just on the outside where it was sitting on the ground or whatever. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, that because I thought I was running into a gold mine when I learned about spalting, and I realized I had these. I had a log that was cracked, so I basically, it was cracked like a Y crack, so I couldn't really get a bowl blank out of it. So that's where I made the spindles from. But as you can see, I just kind of rushed and turned them out and didn't really check that end part and try to get the part where it's spalted, like in this piece. So just a little tip for you guys that don't know much about spalting, or if you got any old decayed wood, really take your time to look at how on either the end of the piece or once you cut it, try to examine, because you usually can see the little waves of spalting and stuff. But you know, on this piece of red oak, the spalting has not even penetrated the heartwood. So just a little tip for you guys that want to get into turning spalted wood. I mean, you can obviously order spalted pen blanks and stuff like that. You don't really have to worry about those so much. But if you find wood out in the woods, laying on the ground or whatever, that's diseased and has a lot of character to it, you want to examine that piece before you go turning it, because you may think you got a nice spalted piece that you can make a nice bowl out of or something, but if you don't turn it, so you're saving as much of the end grain as possible, or the outside of the tree, in this particular case, like I said, red oak, you're not going to get a beautiful piece with the spalting running through it if you end up going through the heartwood. So thanks for watching.